Caught wife cheating and mom sided with her, completely claiming it was just a heat-of-the-moment mistake. Going as far as to threaten to testify against me in court. Turns out both of them were helping each other hide their affairs, and now they're both panicking because I found out and I have this crazy plan for them. I, 30 male, have been married to my wife, Jessica, 30 female, for 5 years. Jessica and I met when we were just 19. I was just starting to get my career on track while she was juggling a part-time job and finishing up school. We were introduced by some mutual friends, and it was like we clicked right away. She had this amazing sense of humor, a love for adventure, and a knack for making everyone feel at ease. We quickly discovered we had a lot in common, and it did not take long for me to realize I had found someone I could imagine a future with. We built a relationship pretty quickly, but it felt completely natural. We spent our time going on trips, discovering new spots, and just being in each other's presence. It was that classic young love vibe where everything felt effortless and thrilling. After a couple of years of dating, moving in together seemed like the obvious next step, and before we knew it, marriage was on the table. Jessica was not just my girlfriend, she was my best friend. I trusted her completely, and I was convinced we had something really special between us. When we got married about 5 years ago, I felt like we were a solid team. We were completely on the same page about our future goals, career plans, and the kind of life we wanted to build together. About a year back, Jessica and I started chatting about the possibility of having kids. I'm the type of guy who really values loyalty and commitment, so this was a significant conversation for me. I was feeling uncertain about wanting kids, so I decided to go ahead with a vasectomy. It was not a choice I made lightly, but after some deep discussions with Jessica, we both felt it was the right move for us. We had some lengthy talks about it. She totally got where I was coming from. She was not against it at all and said she was okay with my decision. She understood my hesitation about having children and was super supportive. So a few months ago, Jessica came to me and she was crying. At first, I thought something had happened to her family or maybe someone close to us, but no. She said these were happy tears because she was pregnant. Now I do not have to explain what it feels like when your world gets turned upside down, but I will just say that it was completely shocking. I had a vasectomy a year ago. I knew that there's always a small chance of failure, but I did not think that was what had happened for me. I was not expecting anything like this, so naturally, we went to the doctor to confirm it, and sure enough, she was pregnant, but there was a major issue. This was not my child. At this point, I was in complete shock. I was trying to process everything, but it did not add up. I thought back to all the little signs I had ignored, the things I had brushed off. I could not understand how this happened. I had done everything right. We had talked about not having kids. I had the vasectomy and still here we were. I realized there was only one explanation. She was seeing someone else. It was hard to accept, but the truth hit me like a storm. I did not want to believe it, but I had to confront it. So I started snooping around. I checked her phone, and it did not take long before I stumbled upon messages and texts between Jessica and my childhood buddy, Luke. I felt nauseous. They had been having an affair for years, since before our wedding, and I was completely in the dark. Luke, the guy I trusted more than anyone, the one I thought of as a brother, the guy who was my best man at my wedding, was the one she had been sneaking around with. The betrayal hurt so much that it felt like I could not catch my breath. My best friend, the one person I thought I could rely on, was the one who had been stabbing me in the back too. I'm not one to get angry quickly, but this made my blood boil. I confronted Jessica immediately. I wanted to hear it from her to know what she had to say for herself. Of course, she tried to downplay everything. She said it was a heat-of-the-moment mistake, like that was somehow supposed to make it okay. A mistake? Really? This was not some drunken one-night stand. This was not a mistake. This was months of lies, deception, and betrayal, and she was trying to act like it was nothing. I could not believe what I was hearing. And the worst part? She was pregnant with Luke's child and she was telling me it was a mistake. But that was not the end of it. No, it got worse. I went to my mom, Dee, 56 female, for support. I figured she would at least try to help me process everything. I have always had a strong relationship with my mom. She has always been there for me, and I thought she would have my back. But instead, she sided with Jessica. She actually told me that the affair was just a heat-of-the-moment mistake, just like Jessica had said. She was minimizing everything. She was not even on my side. She told me I needed to forgive Jessica and move on, that this was something I could get past. I could not believe what I was hearing from my mom. She was basically telling me that I should just accept that my wife had been sleeping with my best friend behind my back and that I should move on like it was no big deal. It was heartbreaking. But here is where it gets even worse. My mom was not just supporting Jessica. She was hiding something herself. She had been cheating on my dad, James, 58 male. She was having an affair with one of her students, a 26-year-old guy who, for context, is younger than me. I was absolutely floored when I found out. I had no idea. She had been sneaking around behind my dad's back for months. My dad did not know about it, and I had no clue until I stumbled across some texts when I was going through Jessica's phone. Turned out, my mom and Jessica had been covering for each other. They were both helping each other keep their secrets safe. My mom had been helping Jessica hide her affair, and in return, Jessica had been covering up my mom's affair. They were both supporting each other's lies, and it all started to make sense. My mom was not just giving Jessica a free pass because she was trying to protect her daughter-in-law. She was doing it because she was trying to protect herself. She knew that if everything came out, her affair would be exposed too. At this point, I could not take it anymore. I had been betrayed by my wife, by my best friend, and by my mom. I did not know who I could trust anymore. It was like the people I love most in the world had turned on me, and I did not even know what to do about it. I was not sure what I was feeling: anger, hurt, betrayal, confusion, maybe all of it. But what I knew for sure was that I was not going to let them get away with it. I was not going to be the victim anymore. I was not going to let them just sweep everything under the rug like it was no big deal. So I made a plan. I started collecting evidence. I took screenshots of everything I could find. I saved texts, emails, and anything that would prove what had been going on. I was not going to let them lie to me anymore. I was not going to let them get away with this. I also started talking to a lawyer about divorce. If it came to that, I wanted to be prepared. But I was not just thinking about the divorce. I was thinking about everything else. I was thinking about exposing the truth. I wanted everyone to know what had been happening behind my back. I wanted everyone in the family to see who Jessica and my mom really were. Right now, both of them are totally losing it. Jessica keeps apologizing, saying she can change and we can work things out. But, honestly, I am not sure I can ever trust her again. My mom is pleading with me not to reveal her affair, insisting I should just concentrate on my own marriage and ignore her actions. But here's the thing. I cannot seem to separate the two anymore. My mom and my wife have both let me down in ways I never imagined, and I'm over being the nice guy. I'm done keeping their secrets. They need to deal with the fallout of their choices, and I'm going to make sure that happens. So now I'm stuck in this position where I'm planning to expose everything. I'm making sure I have all the evidence I need, and I'm going to make it public. I cannot just let them get away with this, but I am starting to wonder if I'm going too far. I'm not someone who usually seeks revenge or wants to hurt others, but I do not know how to move on without confronting this head-on. I've given them both chances to come clean, but they have made it clear they will not be doing that. And now I'm done. But I still need some opinions. Ida for planning to expose them. Should I just let it go, or am I right to take this huge step? Hey, it has been about a week and a half since my last post. I thought I would give you an update on what happened this week. I left my house as soon as I found out the truth. I could not stay there, surrounded by memories that now felt empty. That place was meant to be where Jessica and I created our life together. But now I could not face her or anything there without being reminded that the woman I love so much cheated on me. And my mother, the woman I have looked up to all my life, has been doing the exact same thing to my father. So I grabbed some essentials and went to stay with a friend. Living with him has been both helpful and odd. One moment, I was a married man with a home and plans for the future. Now, I'm on my friend's couch, and my life is completely turned around. Luckily, he has been really supportive and lets me talk when I need to. After the initial shock faded, I realized I had to face Luke. He had been my best friend since we were kids, someone I trusted completely. Discovering that he was the one having an affair with my wife felt like a double betrayal. When I finally confronted him, he did not deny anything. He offered a weak apology, but it felt insincere. He just stood there and I struggled to keep my anger in check. All the hurt and frustration I had bottled up exploded and things turned physical. I'm not proud of my actions, but in that moment, I wanted him to truly understand the pain he had caused me. After our fight, word spread fast among our friends. I did not think people would take sides, but it turned out that everyone did. And almost everyone turned against Luke. They could not believe he had betrayed me like that. This was not just a one-night mistake. This was years of lying and sneaking around, all while he looked me in the eye and pretended we were still best friends. Now, most of our mutual friends want nothing to do with him. A lot of people reached out to me saying they were here to support me and that they could not believe what he did. It is nice to have my friends supporting me, but it does not ease the hurt. I feel like my whole world has crumbled. Jessica, my closest friend, and even my mom, everyone I relied on has disappointed me. I keep going over memories trying to find a clue that I missed, something that could have warned me. I think about what I could have done to stop this from happening. But then I remember this is not my fault. I did not ask to be cheated on and lied to. They made those choices, not me. Jessica's been trying to reach out, sending texts saying she's sorry and wants to make things right. but it's all just words now. She's only sorry because she got caught, not because of what she did. I do not know how I could ever forgive her. Even if I wanted to, I do not think I would ever be able to trust her again. Every time I see her name pop up on my phone, I feel a mix of anger and sadness. She's asking me to fix something she ruined and it is just too much. Now I'm faced with a choice. I'm angry, hurt, and humiliated, and part of me wants to expose everything. I want everyone to know what Jessica, Luke, and even my mom did. I want them to deal with the consequences of their actions, but at the same time, I wonder if it is worth it. Is it worth tearing apart what is left of my family and friends just to get revenge? I'm not sure if that is the person I want to be. I do not want to be the guy who airs everyone's dirty laundry, but I also cannot keep this inside. I cannot just move on like nothing happened. Right now, I'm trying to take things one day at a time. I'm talking to a lawyer about the divorce and making sure I have all my evidence in case I need it. I'm also figuring out how to rebuild my life from here and how to move forward when everything I thought I knew has been shattered. It is exhausting, and some days it feels impossible. But I know one thing for sure, I cannot go back to the way things were. That life, that trust, it's all gone now. Please keep telling me I'm doing the right thing by standing up for myself and by refusing to let them manipulate me into accepting everything. But I still feel conflicted. I'm torn between wanting justice and just wanting to walk away and leave it all behind. I do not know where this will end up, but I know that no matter what, I cannot go back to the life I had before. All I can do now is try to figure out how to start fresh even if it feels impossible right now. Hey, so it has been a couple of days since the last update. A few people have asked for some background on me and Luke, and I do not really want to talk about our relationship. But here is something that people might find interesting about him. It was not just a one-time thing. This was a pattern with Luke. He would always chase after women who were involved with someone else even when it was obvious that they were not interested in him or were already committed to someone. It did not sit right with me. I called him out on it many times. I would tell him that it was not cool to get involved with people who were already in relationships. I tried to explain that there was a lack of respect for both the women involved and the people they were with, but Luke just did not seem to care. He would brush me off, laugh it off, or say that he could change their minds if he tried hard enough. I know we all have our flaws, but this was something I could not understand. To me, it felt like he did not value loyalty, or maybe he did not see what he was exactly doing. Whenever I would point it out, it would always seem like it went in one ear and out the other. He would get defensive and accuse me of being too judgmental or even acting like I was better than him. And, honestly, I started to get frustrated because I did not want to be the kind of friend who screamed at him all the time. But I also could not just stand by and watch him hurt people. In my mind, that was the one area where we really disagreed. We could joke about anything. We could share anything. But this was a deal breaker for me. I never understood why he could not see the damage it did to the people around him. Over the years, I began to notice how it was not just about the women he was with, but how he handled all of his relationships. There was always a level of dishonesty involved, like he did not really care about the feelings of the people in his life. It is strange looking back on it now because I remember thinking at the time that it was just something I had to accept about him, that maybe I was being too sensitive. But now after everything that has happened, I realize that this was a reflection of something deeper in Luke's character that I missed, or maybe I did not want to see. That pattern of behavior, the lying and the lack of respect, was there all along even when it was just about the women he pursued. It feels like it was a warning sign I ignored. So even though Luke and I were friends for a long time, this was something I could not get on board with. And now, seeing how things turned out, I cannot help but feel like it was all connected. Hi, everyone. It has been a few weeks, and I wanted to share what has been going on. After I moved out, my first step was to collect all the evidence I could about Jessica and my mom's actions. I realized that to make any decisions about my next step, I needed clear and undeniable facts. I also knew I had to talk to my dad about whatever I found out. He had the right to know the truth, and I could not hide it from him. When I finally sat him down and showed him everything, he looked shocked and heartbroken. It really affected him, and for a moment, he just stared at me trying to understand. After a long pause, he told me that this was not the first time my mom had acted this way. He told me that years ago, when I was a child, she had an affair with my dad's cousin. He said he forgave her back then because he wanted to keep our family intact. He chose to ignore it, hoping it would not happen again. But now he said he could not overlook it anymore. This time, he felt there was no reason to let it go. My dad confronted my mom, and she, similar to Jessica, tried to brush it off as a mistake. She kept saying it was just a moment of poor judgment, a small error, and begged for forgiveness. She was crying, saying literally anything to fix the situation. I think she really thought that if she said the right things, everything would be fine again. But my dad just listened quietly, showing no feelings, and when she was done, he told her she had to leave. He did not raise his voice or argue. He simply stated it was time for her to go. It felt like he had been ready for this moment, knowing he might have to deal with it someday. Now she's gone, and Dad asked me to move in with him, so I did. Everything feels so weird. In such a short time, I have lost my wife, my best friend, and now my mother. My dad, who once forgave her for my sake, has had to make such a difficult choice to stand up for himself, and I can see the toll it's taking on him. He looks almost lost, and he is way quieter than usual. Jessica has continued to reach out, sending messages, trying to apologize and make things right, but I cannot bring myself to respond. I see her name on my phone, and all I feel is anger and sadness. She's not sorry for what she did. She's just sorry she got caught. Trusting her again seems impossible. It's too late for that now. With Luke, it is a similar story. After I confronted him and things got physical, our mutual friends found out quickly. Almost all of them have sided with me, cutting him off completely. They cannot believe he would betray me like this, and to be honest, neither can I. I still cannot process how someone I considered a brother could have done this for years without any guilt or remorse. He looked me in the eye and pretended everything was fine. And now, I am left to question every interaction we ever had. It is comforting to know that my friends are standing by me, but it does not make the hurt disappear. My mom sent me a text after everything that happened, trying to blame me. She claimed I caused all the problems, that I pushed Jessica away, made her feel unwanted. She said if I had been a better husband, none of this would have occurred. She even tried to make me feel guilty, saying I was destroying the family and that I should not have revealed her affair after all she had done for me. I was shocked by her words. It felt like she was ignoring her own mistakes and trying to put the blame on me for her betrayal. That was it for me. I blocked her immediately. I refused to let her manipulate me into thinking I was at fault when she was the one keeping secrets. I am currently teaming up with a lawyer to kick off the divorce process. I have gathered every bit of evidence I could find just in case I need it later. It is really exhausting, and some days, it feels like it's all too much. But one thing I'm sure of is that I cannot go back to the way things were. The trust and the life I thought I had were completely gone. There is no way to act like this is not happening. Lately, my dad and I have been hanging out a lot. We're both dealing with something tough that nobody should have to go through. But there is a weird sense of connection in that. He kept quiet for so long to keep our family intact for my sake. And now that everything is out in the open, I can see he feels a sense of relief too. We've both been let down. And while it is not the kind of thing anyone wants to bond over, it feels like we can finally confront the reality of our situation together. So here is the deal. My mom's not around anymore. Jessica and Luke are out of the picture, and I am left trying to figure out a future I never saw coming. I'm still dealing with a lot of anger and sadness, and, honestly, I have no idea when or if it will fade. But each day, I tell myself that none of this is on me. I did not ask to be cheated on, lied to, or let down by the people I cared about the most. Those were their choices, not mine. Hey, everyone, it has been a while since my last post, and I wanted to give you all a more detailed update on what has been going on. It feels like so much has changed. So here is the thing. My dad and I both decided to file for divorce. It has been a pretty weird experience since I never imagined I would find myself in this position. But after everything that went down, it was obvious we both needed to move forward. My dad's situation with my mom was way more complicated, but, ultimately, he came to the same conclusion I did. We both realized there was no turning back. My mom crossed the line, and my dad could not just overlook it anymore. What really caught me off guard, though, was when my mom thought I would somehow testify against my dad in their divorce proceedings. She actually believed that I would side with her and go after my dad in court. When she suggested it, I just could not stop myself from laughing. I'm not sure if she was in denial or if she thought I would be manipulated into doing that, but there was no chance I was going to help her destroy my dad's life. I cannot believe she even asked. Jessica really pulled out all the stops trying to get me to change my mind. I think she believed that if she just kept apologizing, I would eventually come around. But when she saw I was not going to budge, she decided to reach out to Luke. It was like she thought he would back her up, but that plan totally backfired. Luke did not waste any time cutting her off. He had already messed up my life enough and was not about to take on her drama. So in the end, Jessica found herself all alone with no one to lean on. Honestly, I did not feel a bit sorry for her. It is tough to feel sympathy for someone who has done you dirty like that. She made her choices, and now she had to deal with the consequences. On the divorce front, things with Jessica went surprisingly smoothly. Since we had signed a prenup, there was really nothing to fight over. I did not owe her anything, and we did not have to waste time arguing about assets or anything like that. That made the process a lot less stressful than I thought it would. I honestly felt a sense of relief when it was all over. My dad's situation, though, was not as easy. He ended up having to pay alimony to my mom, which was obviously not something he wanted to do, but he handled it like he always does, calm, collected, and not letting it get to him. He told me that the alimony would not affect him at all because he's financially secure. He has plenty of money, and he made it clear that the payment would not even be a blip on his radar. Still, it was a weird situation. I never thought I would see my dad in this position, but I guess life throws curveballs at you when you least expect them. Something else that has happened is that I have met someone new. I started talking to this woman at work, and I have to admit, I kinda like her. I'm not sure where it will go, but it is nice to have a distraction. She's easy to talk to, and there is a natural connection between us. It has been a while since I have thought about dating and I am not jumping into anything, but it feels good to be around someone who's not caught up in all the mess from my past. We have had a few conversations, and while I am not rushing into anything serious, it is nice to just see where it could go. I'm taking things slow and not putting any pressure on myself to figure it all out right now. At the moment, I'm just focusing on rebuilding my life. My dad and I have gotten a lot closer through all of this, which I did not expect. We're both dealing with the fallout from the same situation, and while it is painful, it kind of brought us together in a way. I do not think either of us could have made it through this without the other. He has been a good support system for me, and I'm doing my best to be there for him as well. I'm still angry and still hurt, but I think I am starting to feel a little more like myself again. The process of moving on has not been easy, but every day, I feel like I'm getting a little bit closer to being okay. I'm not going to pretend like everything is fine because it's not, but I'm learning to live with what happened and trying to make the best of a terrible situation. Jessica and Luke are both out of my life now, and my mom is gone too. I cannot say I miss any of them, but I do miss the family I thought I had.